This is the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast, episode 325.
I program my home computer.
We have a server crash. 404 error. Page not found. Links aren't working. System is crashing. System is crashing. System is crashing.
Your old HTML website. Barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website. Better than it was before. Better. Stronger.
Faster. We have the technology.
Why, hello everybody. This is Adam Silver, the host of the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, I'm excited today. Sadly, though, upcoming events, we got none. Nothing in person, obviously, and nothing online that anyone shared with me to share and put out there that I found either. So in the WordPress space, primarily, or digital media or content, something that would kind of help us. This audience would want to know. Small business even. So if you have events coming up, virtually or in person, by all means, share them with me. You can send them to me via email. You can find me on Slack. You can send it to me through Twitter, Facebook, whatever. Let me know, and I'll share. If it makes sense to the audience, I will share with you, with those people out there in the world, in the ether. All right, moving on. Segment 1 in the news. Two things here. WordFence reported yet another vulnerability regarding Google's WordPress plugin that grants access to the Search Console access. It's a mouthful there. I'll link to it in the show notes, but SiteKit. It's the SiteKit plugin that there's a vulnerability in that is on over 300,000 sites. The flaw allows for any authenticated user, regardless of capability, to become a Google Search Content Console owner for any site running the SiteKit plugin. Anyway, so if you're running that, you're going to want to go ahead and update that right away. And if you want to read about it, it's a link in the show notes as well. All right. Also in the news, I have a new podcast that it's coming out. It's my third podcast, not my third episode, as you know. This one is 325, but the third podcast is due out this month. It's ready to go. I just need more content for it, and I'd love you to be a part of it. I'd like you to help motivate the world. It's over at oneminmotivation.com/pre-launch. That's ONEMIN motivation.com/pre-launch, and you can see what it's all about there. Would love to have you be a part of that. So trying to help motivate the world just with you. Everyone can help each other, and I think we all need that 1 minute at a time. All right. That's it in the news. Let me moving on to segment 2, the meat and potatoes of this week's episode. We are talking about support ticket systems. This is part 2 because this week I want to tell you why I'm adding a ticketing system help plugin to my client's dashboard. And looking through my old archives of all these episodes, I found out that back in episode 122, which came out back in June 27th, 2016, I discussed ticketing systems and how I was going to start using one. And I tested some, and I shared what was going to be the use for my agency for concierge was going to be WP support plus response ticket system. It's a mouthful. And looking back, apparently that choice didn't last long. I'm not sure why, but not too long after I chose that, I then switched over to Help Scout. And I think the plan was I didn't want to maintain it or whatever it was. I needed something that it could be easily shared. So I went with the free level at Help Scout, and it works for my needs. It still does at the moment. And it just literally took the load off of my mind of supporting a plugin for the ticketing aspect and where would I put it at concierge. I just, whatever. I was looking I went with a third party and it was free. And I think that was a big push. It was like, okay, there's a free level. And of course, Help Scout has now started charging me because they got rid of that free package. I am grandfathered in for another year at the old pricing, which is fine. But that said, things may change next year because of that. If that pricing skyrockets for me, I will have to deal with that. Also looking back, I did mention of what I wound up using for my current solution for what we're going to talk about today a little bit in a few minutes was way back in episode 75 was my tip and tool of the week. And we'll get to that in a moment. So first, I want to share why I'm doing this, some options on doing what I'm doing and what you might want to do with ticketing, and then my solution for the actual need. So why? Well, why put a ticketing system inside a WordPress dashboard? Well, in my use case, and actually in my use case, I'm actually going to send the ticket elsewhere. Simply put, people can open a ticket and it goes somewhere else. But why put it in WordPress to begin with? Well, it's because the client is there already. It reminds me of why people create Facebook pages. It's because that's where their people are. For groups and associations and whatever it may be, people are already in Facebook, on Facebook, so why not just cater to that? Now, I know that a lot of people in groups are actually leaving Facebook groups for loads of reasons. Hard to find past information and posts, potential spam, hacks, And of course, the issue of Facebook being evil for some who believe that. I digress. So a couple of thoughts here. As I mentioned moments ago, you can actually have the entire ticketing system inside of WordPress. And there are plenty of plugins that do that. And this time around, I was looking to make it easy way for my current clients to have a way to communicate with me with little friction. No need for them to log into a different site at the moment or even open up their email client. Now, I'm not saying that sending an email is hard or logging into something else is hard, but my clients want just frictionless interactions with their systems and support. Okay. And I want to cater that as a concierge, if you will. So what I wanted to do is I want to have a way to have that automated implementation in their dashboard, not where they have to go to my site to do this, but in their own website. So that's what I'm doing here. Okay. So some options. Of course, you could hide a form on a hidden page for a client site, and they could fill out the fields and they'll get sent to you. So that's one way. Or you could use a plugin, of course. So I looked at what's out there for plugin options right now, and I found two that popped right up. One was KB Support. It looks interesting. It looks like the onboarding documentation is really well laid out. It's a free model plus the add-on model for extending functionality. And poking around the settings, it's based on short codes, but it's the typical standard ticketing system integration, and it has the ability to host KB articles, knowledge-based articles. I also checked out JS Help, which was formerly JS Support Ticket, and it was updated about 6 days ago, so it's pretty relevant and current. 3,000 plus installs. Has a free level and an add-on model, and it's a little bit more slick. It has its own dashboard. It has its own onboarding process about taking you through different steps. I poked around the settings. It's clean. I can definitely see it's a level of complexity more than the previous one with KB Support to get it set up correctly, the flows. But it looks good. A lot of reporting built into it, and I think a lot of people who have a lot of support tickets, you kind of want that reporting. If you have a lot of support agents as well, so you want that reporting there as well. So there are two options. But what I went with for my needs was the plugin called WP Help. And I mentioned this one. This is, like I said, back on episode 75 is where it was a tip and tool of the week. And I used it for a long time for many clients. And then it stopped kind of working. There were some issues with when you implemented it, it would just space things all over the place. It had a hiccup. So I stopped using it. And then I just checked it out again a few months ago. And I'm like, oh, the developer did an update. And I guess rewrote some code and he fixed it. So I'm back because I used to love this plugin. So the way I'm using it in this case is that I make an area on the dashboard. It's called CWP Help or Support. And each client gets their own content there, knowledge-based content, if you will, how to create a post, how to do a whatever it may be that's relevant to them. And I thought to myself one day, could I embed a form into one of those, knowledge bases, into those content areas? And I already have Gravity Forms, and this client in question actually has Gravity Forms. So then could I do that and then have that form be sent to a specific spot based on, what type of ticket that they chose? The answer is yes. So it's pretty cool. So in this case, the client could send an email to concierge support and it'll go right to Help Scout if they did it separately. Or they could go to Asana and open up a project there as well. We can look at it. Great. But why force them out of their own website, is what I'm trying to say. Why have them leave to go take an extra step and maybe get distracted? So while they're in a website, they see an issue that they want addressed, they can do it right then and there. So after some testing, configuring both CSS and some email issues, thanks to my developer friend Aruba, for this client, we have a win. It's going to be implemented. We've tested it. It looks really good. So I'm excited to have this moving forward. Now, what's also cool about this plugin, again, I have no connection to the plugin. It's free. There is no paid upgrade to this as far as I can see at the moment, is it has the ability to be syncable, meaning I could host this plugin on Concierge's website and have a standard set of knowledge-based type of articles, and then have that push to all my other support, clients, which would be kind of cool. Very cool, actually. So that way, if you are always updating content and how to do certain things or latest news, whatever it may be, then you can push that up as well. Got me thinking right now, could I use it this way, push to that client with that code? I think I might be able to try that out. So anyway, and then also add additional pieces to each one individually. I'll have to double check that, get back to you on that. So that's what I'm going with. I'm going back to WP Help. It's by Mark Jaquith, by the way, a solid developer. And it's going to really solve a problem for that one client specifically. And that's fine because it's a good client. We want to keep them happy. We want our clients to keep them happy, to keep paying us, etc. So lastly on this, that original choice I'd made is no longer supported for new users, apparently. Per the description in the repo, it says, this plugin is being maintained for existing users of the plugin. New users are strongly recommended to test our latest ticketing system called Support Candy. So I actually looked just at the repo page. It looks like there are 6,000 installs updated 3 days ago. So that's pretty cool. I may check it out in the future. I'm also looking at some alternatives to Help Scout. As I mentioned that, my grandfather price might be going away at the end of this year. So there's something called Free Scout, which is an open source version of Help Scout. You can kind of set up your own server like on DigitalOcean with a Droplet or Docker. So that's an option. Maybe we'll see how that goes. Yeah, and there you have it. From episode 75, way back when, this is part 2 of the ticketing, how I'm kind of solving ticketing and communications with clients. There might be a part 3 because, things are always changing. I got to love the evolving services and tools that we have access to, which then leads me right to segment 3, the tip and tool of the week. It's called ClickUp, clickup.com. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before. I don't think I have yet. Looks really interesting. It's actually a place that might replace a thing that's free. It might replace Asana. Could replace Help Scout possibly. So I'm actually looking at other services. There's a free level and a pay level. I'm watching some videos trying to see how this may work into my the rest of this year, maybe fourth quarter, who knows. But like anything else, there's templates for project management. So we'll check that out. So check out clickup.com if you're looking for some sort of new tool to kind of, I think it's supposed to bring everything into one place. So we'll see what happens with that. So there you have it. That is it for this week. If you have any questions or concerns or, recipes you want to share, let me know. Send them in to adam@KitchensinkWP.com or use the speak pipe function of the website. If you want to support the show, you can become a Patreon, KitchensinkWP.com/Patreon. If you want to sponsor the show, you can do that too. I'm open for sponsorships. There's a form on the website. Thanks for listening. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right, bye-bye.